Wall Street Lies and the Truth About Your Wealth Building Plan. This is a 4-part interview with a dear friend of mine, becoming a good friend of mine, Jim Oliver. We've been on each other's podcast and we share a lot of the same thinking beliefs around how you manage your money. So first we're going to talk about the lies on Wall Street and how Main Street is thriving because of them. So Jim has managed over $700 million on Wall Street and very quickly saw there's a whole different way to manage your money. So let's jump into a 4-part series where we're going to dissect each of these lies and the truth that you need to know. Hey, this is Loral, and welcome back to Loral's Real Money Talks, a podcast about money. How do you make it? How do you keep it? How do you invest it? How do you use a team? And there's no such thing as self-made millionaires. You will use a team. And I coined the phrase, I don't think, Jim, you even know about it. I call them team-made millionaires because there's no way anybody does anything alone. So today I have Jim Oliver with me. I was on his podcast, an extraordinary man with great business experience. Jim, I'm going to have you give a little bit of your background because I know you've got your tentacles like I do in a lot of places. So tell us a little bit about you, and then we're going to talk about an awesome new book coming out.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Laura. First of all, I started off, I love what you said because I grew up in foster care. I grew up very poor. I was adopted at 7 into an abusive family. We lived in some of the worst parts of Los Angeles growing up. And I always had this fascination, Laura, with money. Because I thought, well, why does everybody that I live around have no money? And my target was Palos Verdes. And if you know Los Angeles, Palos Verdes is up on the hill. You overlook the ocean. I'm sure it's not perfect, but in my world as a kid, it was perfect. That's where I wanted to be. So I thought I had this fascination. And in Los Angeles, you can go a couple miles this way or a couple miles that way. And you can go from, billionaires to people that are living in the streets, literally, right? So it's this fascination with money. And then it's kind of what we say, it's like our net worth. So I didn't feel like I had much worth then because I didn't have any net worth. And no one that I knew had any net worth. And so I got really fascinated with money. I go to school and I do all the things that I think I'm supposed to do. I get into being a financial babysitter, financial planner, and I do that for 15 years. I have success, right? Because of my background and I worked in factories when I was a kid, I went to the blue collar millionaires is what people would call it, right? And I worked with those people, not the doctors, not the attorneys, not the fancy shoes. I went to the blue collar people. I built $700 million under management. I was charging 1%. I thought, this is great. This is wonderful. And then I realized that it's all a lie. That's not how you become wealthy. You don't put your money in Wall Street. You don't let banks control your life. And you don't let the government have any of your money if you can help it. So that's kind of my story. So then I said, well, what is it? Right. And then I read this great book and it's called 38 Letters to My Son by J.D. Rockefeller, to my son, John, by J.D. Rockefeller. And he said something in there. He said the hindrance for him going from super poor as a kid to the richest man in the world, which he was the banks. But then he said something. He said, now I am the bank. Right. Yeah. And so it changed my perspective. And I thought, wait a minute, Wall Street isn't it? How did all these people that I have the 700 million under management, how did they become wealthy? It came down to 2 things, only 2 things, business ownership and real estate, right? And they controlled the cash flow. And so I started buying businesses. I started being the bank. I started finding some people that would sell or finance me businesses, real estate, everything else. So I could be in control. And I bought over 30 businesses using that mentality and getting away from Wall Street. And then I realized, looking back now, everything that I was taught about money was a lie.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. We're going to spend the first part of our podcast talking about not only just money lies, but I know we're going to have a lot of humor and fun with that, but then just the rest of the lies. And the way I want to frame it, because I frame, just money that way and what I do so differently is, the health system and the wealth system have the old traditional hospitals, the old traditional banks, financial institutes, but the wealthiest and the healthiest live in the alternatives. So let's talk about all the lies about pushing everyone. And a lot of it's, well, it's DC, it's the lobbyists that are pushing pharma. It's why, everybody's so darn sick. And the minute you find anything that's helpful, they're going to get in the way again. Huge fan of Del Bigtree and Kennedy and what they're doing in Maha. And boy, are they having roadblocks everywhere because they are poking the bear. So where do you want to start? Let's start with the money.
Yeah.
The biggest lie. What would you say your top three? We'll just, have a good conversation about the biggest lies and how people have to get to the alternatives. And you're going to have to lean in and learn. And I'm going to say, give a shit about your life because nobody else is going to.
Well, I mean, the big one is that you should put your money with Wall Street in instruments when the government's printing money like it's going out of style. Right. So that means that your instruments are going down in value every second of every day because of inflation. Right. But wealthy people know what? Don't buy instruments, buy assets. Because if I own a business, my asset is going up in value when they print more money. And the reason that it is because I can raise my prices. If I have real estate, any kind of real estate, and I have tenants in there, whether it's storage or mobile home park, I don't care what it is, I can raise my rent to keep up with inflation. The asset goes up in value as they're debasing our money, and the instruments go down in value. So that's one of the biggest lies is save. Like, think about this. This doesn't even make any sense, Loral, is you save for 20, 30, 40 years, don't have the use of your money. And then someday you go, now I have enough. I have this nest egg. Now I'm going to live off of it for the rest of my life. And I hope I die before I run out of money.
It's the craziest. I call it the bell curve, right? So you spend most of your life making some money. You have your top earning years, and then you spend they should keep going up in a great ending life. Like this should be the trajectory. And it's like, and then I'm going to scrimp and save and scrimp and save and scrimp and save and hope to God, as you said, it's going to all work out. And reverse engineering that math equation when you really don't know what inflation is going to be. You don't know really where you want to live. If you want to take that, $50,000 trip and your whole family to on a safari, you can't because you don't have enough. It's going to be, that's your year of expenses. It's such a lie.
So I live in Florida. So there's all these snowbirds, right? And there's a million people. And by the way, this ties into the health and the wealth, because I see people that every time we're voting for something for our club to improve something, I see the people that are on budgets. I see the people that save their money in a 401k or an IRA or some government qualified plan. They don't want any improvements because they don't want to spend any money. They really can't. I don't criticizing them.
No, they just can't.
But then there are other people that own real estate and businesses. And a great friend of mine, he owns 40 sub shops. So the reason I'm saying that is it doesn't matter what it is, right? Just find something that you have a passion for. Anyway, his income is going like this, and it will till the day he dies and after he dies. Same way with people that own real estate and businesses is we're not climbing a mountain and then coming down the other side. That's what we were sold, right?
Yeah.
We were sold, save, save, save. Your home is an asset. No, it's not. Right? Your home is a liability. The equity in your home means nothing. Take it out, buy something that'll make you money. And cash flow is king. I have people.
No, wait. Yeah. I got to qualify. Since all of the men of the world, let's get pick on that because as a woman, if they all said cash is king, women get the cash flow. Sorry, Jim, but women
totally.
Cash is king, cash flow is queen. And so we get that one.
Cash flow is queen. I'm good with that vernacular because here's the thing is women are smarter than men overall, right? So I don't disagree with that. And so it's only about cash flow. If I said to you, you're never going to have $1 in the bank, but you're going to have $5 million a year after tax flowing to you, you'd say, I don't care if I ever have $1 in the bank, right? I don't want to save because motion is a law of God. If air doesn't flow in and out of our bodies, we die. If blood doesn't flow through our bodies, we die. If water doesn't flow, it becomes stagnant, it's dead, right? And if money doesn't flow, it dies. So your money sitting in the bank, sitting in your 401k, it's dying.
So thanks for listening so far. Again, we have 3 more of these interviews right behind. We're going to do 4 days in a row with Jim Oliver and myself, Loral Langemeier, exposing lies on Wall Street and the truth about Main Street. So a lot to talk about. We have health and wealth in this conversation, so take notes. Make sure you're here 5 days a week. Click that notification button and subscribe. Clearly, share it with 5 or 10 people and share this interview. I think a lot of you are going to get a absolute surprise out of some of the lies that you have been living and breathing. If you have any questions during this interview or in general, just go to askloral.com, ASKLORAL, ask a question, make a request. We'll be back tomorrow.